Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session. Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today, I've got one of my best mates on. He's now my best mate. How long ago do you think you came, man?
It was a year ago, wasn't it? June.
Literally
June.
a year ago.
So, yeah, give or take, yeah.
Dude.
We have to timestamp it.
It's strange how strong you can formulate a friendship in that short amount of time.
It must be. It must be this time, around this time last year.
Dude, so you would have been
birthday.
like hashtag guest 20, in the 20s, maybe 30s.
Tell you, Mikey, while you're talking,
okay.
Mikey, I'm gonna find this very important bit of information out for you.
But this guy I've been working for now for the Prime Life Project. It's everything that I'm about. It's all I embody, and we're working together. We're doing a festival together. We've got Menfest coming up. Dan's got loads of projects that we're going to get into today. So I'm going to welcome aboard, and fingers crossed he's found it, Daniel James from the Prime Life Project.
Crowd goes crazy. See, I know how it all works now, so I'm like, yeah.
You know it. You've got the
energy.
energy.
I know it all works.
All in. What was it, mate? Have you found?
Mate, I still haven't found myself. I'm scrolling back now. It's episode 17. Okay, I don't think I'm that far back.
I do the post-production, so
yeah.
I'll make sure I pop it in as well.
This is very interesting. I wish I could actually just kind of come in and search it. But Back of the Bus Sessions Best Bits, I'm sure it was before then.
Oh yeah, it was definitely before the best
Was it
bits.
before
You're in
that?
the best bits though.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
100%. You were one of the best bits, man. You were, especially Laws of Attraction.
Am I that early on?
Yeah, honestly. And then we'd have had the date in hand as well. Oh man, I could have done all that just beforehand. But I say whatever's come to my head.
I can't find it. Right,
I'm
don't
going to
know
go
we're going
in
to
the
find
20s. And guys, make sure, well, you'll be watching this on Spotify, but I will pop it up there as well, so you can go back and listen to that episode. But we're back, mate.
We're back.
How on earth have you been in that year's time?
Mate, it's been
longer.
topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking back at it now, like a year ago, like, I had so much hope and promise. Did I have my long hair then as well?
You did.
Yeah, I have my long hair and my beard. So again,
You
it's
look
like,
the bee's
you
knees.
can do like a before and after of like how Dan's changed. Like,
I got you in because of somebody else's podcast, wasn't it? Kieran.
yeah, it was on Instagram. Yeah, Kieran on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw you through that. I was really enjoying how you were conducting it, but then you were getting some shit from somebody sending comments. Do you know?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I can't even remember when that was.
That was weird. They were sending in stuff, and you didn't flutter though. You just took it on and kept on going with the good content.
Yeah.
Because they were like wasting their time trying to sort of get to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
well, I had that.
forget it.
Can you remember when I had that with the kids from school? Can you remember that school we went to?
Yeah.
The last school we went to, and then that was literally like 2 months, 3 months ago, and then they like massive group of kids trying to jump on Instagram Live. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, because you. How long have you been doing assemblies for now?
It would have been about 6 months.
Well-
No, I did my first one about a year ago again.
Was that written in the story? Did you want to do assemblies?
So I've always wanted to do public speaking, I think. Well, no, that's fair. Well, so it depends where we're sort of going with the story. When I was at school, I hated public speaking. I hated it literally with a passion, because normally when you speak at school, you've got to read, haven't you? So you get a piece of paper and you're reading, and obviously because I struggle with dyslexia and my reading, I was a bit like, I hated it. Like, you generally thought when I did that last one at that school, when I said I had an anxiety attack, that basically is what kind of happened.
And I
when
said
I
it
was
was
at
the
school.
best one you'd ever
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
Huh.
But that's bizarre. I'm still trying to comprehend what actually happened. I think I knew something good was going to happen again, but I just kind of got into my own head about it. But when I was at school, I used to feel that all the time I was doing public speaking, so I was like, I can't think of anything worse. But then the more I've sort of gone on this journey of what I'm doing, the more people keep telling me, like, I'm really good at speaking publicly. Again, through the podcast, it's got better. Like the Instagram stuff that I do, like the workshops that I do, everyone's like you need to sort of like get out there and do this. So then when I got offered the opportunity to actually go into a school and do it, I was like, well, yeah, awesome. And then when we went to Audi, if you remember,
Yeah. That was good.
yeah, and then we got in the lift afterwards. You went, mate, like how many of them have you done? I went, that's my first one. And you were like, are you joking? I was like, no, that's the first one I've done. But again, I completely blagged it to them and to you apparently that like I'd done loads of these, and I hadn't. It was my first one. I'd done a corporate one. And Audi H headquarters is my main one, and I went in there and I kind of again smashed it.
Mate, you really did smash it.
And then you're like, "Is that your first one?" Yeah.
Mate, I completely mean that from the soul of me. But why are you good at doing that then? Where do you think that's come from? There's got to have been some preparation in that.
I don't genuinely. I don't think there has been. It's because when I go and talk, I'm just speaking on a topic that I'm so passionate about.
That helps.
Yeah. So, like I said, I can talk about mental health non-stop. Talk about any subject, I'm just go talk about it. Whereas before, when you were at school, you got to do public speaking on a book. I hated reading. I hated books. Don't care. Like, but it's like with football. So if you say, right, you've got to go up on stage and talk about your favourite football team, Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Cool. I've got to talk about them. It's like you in poetry. Just go up on stage and talk about poetry. You can do it all day long.
This is literally your podcast episode with Martin, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah. So for me, it's like I love mental health, and I've got my thing is like, so I did the podcast and the public speaking. It's like I didn't want to do it, but I felt a calling to do it. It's like I've got information I know that can help people, so I have to share it. I have to. I've got an obligation. Well, I felt like this thing, but you have to share this information. You've got to the stage now where you've gone through. Well, got still technically now again with waves of going through stuff. You've gone through this massive wave of stuff. You've come through the other side. You've learned so much stuff. You're now in a position to actually talk to people about it, and they can get it. Because that's the thing for me. I don't use big words. I keep it very simple and basic. That's how I understand it. So you get a lot of people, I think, when they try and talk about mental health mindset stuff, they try and make it too sciencey, overcomplicate. It's like, no, just talk to them on a level. So I'm just going there as a normal bloke and make it very clear, have you seen, I'm not perfect, I still have bad days, I just know myself. And my whole point is to basically help those kids not waste 15 years of their life like I did. So that's it, I just talk. And I'm so comfortable and confident because I know my stuff. Like, if the presentation didn't work, I could still carry on talking. If the kids ask me a question, I know the answers. Like, it's not a problem to me. So when you feel that comfortable and confident, it's just as easy as me and you talking right now. There's nothing to it.
And you mentioned there about you can just open up about it now.
Yeah.
Was there a stage in life where you wouldn't open up at all then, or talk about? Were you quite trivial in your conversations before your depression, and then when after your depression happened, the depth in your mindset and the conversations you were having completely transformative?
I'll say so. Yeah, I think before I struggled with my mental health, I think I sort of alluded to it when I was last on here. Because of my modelling and all the stuff I was doing, that was the shallow depth of my conversations. All I would talk about is my modelling. All I would talk about is fitness, exercise. Like, I didn't have any substance to me, really, because I had no real I didn't really have any value to give. I did, clearly, on some level, have some value to give, but I didn't know the value. So I would just talk. I would just talk by talking about the stuff that I thought people wanted to hear about. And again, it's like you attract on your vibrational frequency. So the only people I was talking to was on that vibrational frequency. Like, I wouldn't have come into contact with you because you wouldn't have been giving me a second thought because of how I was talking, what I was talking about. Like, do you mean I just wouldn't have been on your radar? The only way you come onto people's radars is because you're on the same sort of frequency as them. So there's me as this low frequency being just talking absolute rubbish that's just basically trying to get validation. Talking to people that's also on a low frequency, trying to get validation. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's all it was. I was just in this little
The validation thing is really interesting there.
Yeah.
And that's because for this podcast, when I'm getting you back on, I wanted to go down the path of all the mental health that we've been working on.
Well, you know me more than anybody. But so if you're gonna get stuff out of me, Mike, if anyone's gonna get anything out of me, it's gonna be you.
We touched on
all my
secrets. The younger Dan. We went there in the last episode, which I'll pop up in this.
Yeah.
But then we sort of went more to the laws of attraction and the trajectory that you were on then and the path. But we didn't quite dive in to the young Dan. I don't talk about him. It's quite funny. When you said that, you're like, I want to talk about young Dan. I thought, do I want to talk about young Dan? And it's entirely up to you how far we go in.
You know me.
But I would love, especially the validation thing there. What were you like as a kid? And were you struggling to be validated? Did you not feel, because we did that Paul Cope course, did you struggle to be enough and feel enough?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, though. I absolutely 100% did. And I look back now, I don't know where it came from. The only thing I could possibly think of is I've got 3 younger brothers. And for me, I feel, again, this is my feeling. So again, I've got into, I say trouble. My parents don't necessarily like me talking about my parents because obviously it's my interpretation of events, and obviously I was a kid, so I don't really know. But for me, it's almost seemed like because I was the eldest, like once they come along, I kind of got pushed down the pecking order because like I could fend for myself almost. If that makes sense. I'm quite an independent person, so for me, I think that validation thing is I just wanted to be enough. I think I wanted to be centre of attention because I had been centre of attention, and then I wasn't centre of attention, and I didn't like that. So then it's just like I then was always trying to push boundaries, like, do you mean? And that I think is where it came from. And essentially, fundamentally, us as human beings, we don't actually know how powerful and amazing we are. So I look back through my entire time at school and stuff, I literally just wanted someone to tell me that I was good enough and I was okay. And still, even now, like, it's still a problem that I still do have. Like, just someone just be like, so my thing is, I've had it before where I've really, really helped some people, and it's quite prominent in stuff that's happened recently, where I've done so much to help people along, doing stuff, because again, I'm a giver, I like to give stuff. And I don't really want anything back from that. I don't do it for anything. But all I'd like is just them to say, like, I really appreciate that. That really means a lot.
Yeah.
Because then it makes me feel like, okay, cool. Like I'm seen, and what I've done's helped.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because my entire life I felt like I was just like I just felt like I just drifted through life.
Yeah.
So I was doing things for people to notice me. So even now, so I don't do things to be noticed, but I notice that when I do get hurt, it's because I've done something and then no one showed any appreciation for it. So, for example, a coach that I had, I'm not going to mention names or anything, I did so much stuff to help them in their career.
Yeah.
So coming to this environment, there was me and another coach at this specific gym. We were both males. She was a female. And we were experienced personal trainers, very, very good. And she came along, literally completely fresh, new, just qualified. And basically I sat down with her for 3 hours, basically gave her all this information for free. So this is before the Prime Life Project, just helping us like, you're going to get eaten alive here. So read these 2 books, research this, here's how I do things. Just so you're kind of on a level playing field so you don't feel completely inferior and you kind of know what I'm doing, if that makes sense, rather than being like, what's going on here? Obviously, then I created the Prime Life Project. She became involved in it. And then when she parted, there was no... She basically then parted because the guy, there was me and this other guy, and this other guy left to set up his own place. That's cool. Awesome. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's his journey. Absolutely not a problem at all. But then she then left to go and work with him. Again, not a problem at all. But it was just the fact that there was no appreciation at all. There was no thank you very much. I really appreciate, because you've been with me for a year, and again I'd helped to progress and again doing these team meetings around passing information. I didn't want anything. I wasn't doing it for that reason. I wasn't doing it. I don't do things for people to say that. But just for me, the thing that hurt the most when I look back at it wasn't the fact that she'd left. It was the fact that there was no appreciation.
Yeah.
It's almost like I didn't exist. And does that make sense?
Yeah,
and that's what hurts for me the most.
Going, you're an important part of my journey.
Yeah, it's like
really
I really appreciate.
Appreciate
The fact that you actually took the time to sit down with me and do this.
Completely.
Again, and like for me as a person, I don't know. That's again still stuff I'm working on. Again, it's still a continual journey, but that is something that time and time again in my life when that stuff happens, that's what hurts. It's like, did it not mean anything to just be like, thank you?
Do you think that is a trigger and through a trauma-based response, or is it inherent in all of us? Because I feel it too. Is it an inherent natural thing in people?
That's a great question. I think everyone, to some degree, wants to know that they are good enough, if that makes sense. So for me, I think that was the biggest thing. Is that...
It's just a what, yeah.
Oh, just a what, okay.
I
was saying, yeah, I heard it. I was doing myself. I think we all, to some degree, just want to know that what we're doing is good enough, and we've just been appreciated. I think everyone wants to be appreciated. I think that's on a fundamental level. People just want to be appreciated. If they put time, energy, effort in, they don't want anything for it in return. Like I don't want any monetary value. I don't want you to put a Facebook post out or Instagram post. It's nothing like that. Just on a personal level where it's like, I've put this energy into you and my time and all this stuff into you. Just that one thing of like, do you know what? Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw that. I felt that. I got that. Thank you. And that's it. It doesn't have to be any more than a thank you. Because that one thing, if it's meant, and again, it comes from like a place of genuine sincerity, I think that's what most people want. Now, again, some people go through their life and they don't necessarily need or want that, but I feel for me, that's just a thing of where I'm at in my life. That is one thing that I'm trying to work on, to be like, some people don't have that awareness to understand how powerful that can be. Like, I understand how powerful words can be.
Yeah.
Words are extremely powerful. So for me, like, I've think about this before, I can't remember if it was on my podcast or what, but your words come from your thoughts. So you're thinking about something. Like, the words you're using are what your subconscious is saying. So right now I'm talking about this. I had no idea we were going to talk about this. So clearly in my subconscious, it feels attacked about this subject. Like, it's clearly quite a personal thing for me, that on a subconscious level means something to me. Because you've not asked about this, you've left a completely open question for me, and that's what I've decided to go down. So clearly my subconscious is like, this is still an issue for you, Daniel. This is still a thing for you.
Really
and you really don't like it when people do this.
Yeah.
But again, I had no awareness of that. My brain wasn't like, oh, which one do we want to talk about?
Really
it just started talking.
Yeah.
So my subconscious, clearly there, because again, of stuff that's happened recently as well, it's clearly very, very raw. It's clearly very, very raw. My subconscious wants to talk about it. So it's understanding the power of words. And just by actually saying, thank you, like, I really appreciate that, that is powerful. Like, your words, that's a big thing, if that makes sense.
And I think to add to it as well, we want purpose in our lives. And I don't think there is a purpose to life. So we're trying to search and make meaning in life. And the jobs that we do, if you feel you're not getting any validation from it, any form of a thank you, or I put a piece of music out and no comment or anything, and you're just putting it out into the ether, it's kind of, well, what was the point?
Yeah.
So it's back to that purposelessness then.
Yeah.
So I think that could be an element of it too, is if I'm putting all this energy and time and expenditure into this thing that I love and I feel it is doing for people, and it's not being recognised, it's taking away my purpose that I'm putting into it.
I think it's also situational. So, for example, the podcast, I don't do it for people to say thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's completely situational.
That's really interesting
because
too.
for me, it's like I don't go through everyday life doing things for people to be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I feel a similar way.
So
actually,
it's just by specific things and I think specific circumstances and situations. This one again, it's stuff that I'm working through now to figure it out. So for the podcast, I don't want all my listeners to be like, oh, thank you. Every episode, I don't need it or want it. I don't do it for that. Yeah, it feels amazing.
That extra one.
It feels absolutely amazing when you receive it. It feels absolutely incredible. But I don't do it for that reason.
No, you're right.
But whereas before, when we're talking about the original question, the thing for me was I was an empty person trying to get validation because I didn't know that I was good enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was good enough. So I was trying to get people to say like, oh, you're really attractive. Oh, I love that you're a model. Oh, you have six-pack. Oh, you train in the gym. Oh, you're so dedicated. Oh, you're so this. And it's like, yeah, I am. Yes, keep telling me I'm all these things. That's what I needed it for. Whereas now, it's not that. It's just like just thank you.
Yeah.
Like if, in certain situations, it's like I feel like it's kind of warranted. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and going to the timeline of you then.
Yeah.
We sort of gone to literally the family side where the potential could have started, and a really important time in our lives is school. That's where we formulate ourselves. What was that experience like, and did that sort of breed another element of that wanting validation, wanting to be liked?
So school school for me. So I'm dyslexic, so for me growing up, I really struggled to read, and I basically had to wear these tinted glasses to help me read. So I got really badly bullied for that because, like I said, I couldn't read properly, and I also had really bad skin. So I had really bad acne, again, shiny forehead. So I still get that now. So people.
What were the glasses like?
Literally just normal glasses.
Because I'm dyslexic, but I've never been given any cool glasses.
Yeah. So basically,
some.
When I got diagnosed with it, they basically gave me like a sheet of paper.
Yeah, I had that.
Yes, I had that. Yeah, so basically they could turn that into glasses.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so basically, rather than walk around this sheet of paper, you basically just had tinted glasses. So cause all it is it's the colour. So it's not the sheet of paper. Yeah. So mine was green. So basically all it did was just get normal sunglasses, but instead of it being the black colour or whatever it is, they just made it green. So then it filters everything in this green colour. Like you see like the night vision glasses where the blue light blockers that are orange. Mine was just basically like that, but green.
Any, what does that do, the colour for dyslexic? Because mine was red, but actually, reflecting back on it, I don't know what the colour does for us.
I'm not sure. I think something to do with focusing the mind and the brain, the eyes.
Right,
so obviously it's the brain that's struggling to process it. I think maybe something to do with the colour helps you focus.
Interesting.
I think.
So you've got spots and green glasses on?
Honestly, it's tragic.
Dude, I want to give you a cuddle
now.
but
that's this thing. And again, I didn't really fit in with many crowds because, again, I was a very good footballer, so I had the cool kids that liked me because I was a really good goalkeeper and played for quite a few football teams. So I had that. But I also like Warhammer, I like rock music, I liked skateboarding. So I didn't really know where I sort of belonged. So again, walking around school, I just didn't really belong. I didn't feel like I fit in. So I was the guy at break time that would walk around by himself. That was kind of me. And again, looking back at it, I was just very much in my own head. I literally spent so much time in my own head, and I had no understanding that I was in my own head, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So over time, I look at the depressive tendencies that kicked in and look at how it ended up in adulthood. I clearly have been planting those seeds when I was a kid, if that makes sense.
How so? What?
Because obviously if I'm walking around at school and I'm by myself, probably thinking I'm a bit of a loser, I'm a weirdo. And again, looking at girls, so again, from a young age, do girls like me? Again, how I dressed, my hair, everything was just like, oh, girls looking at me, do girls like me? Like, do you mean, well, I really like her, but oh no, she won't like me. Like, why would she like me?
Was the emphasis on girls though as well? Because other people in your vicinity, to get a good girl was to gain status. So was that another factor of why girls?
I think again it was just validation.
Yeah.
I just wanted someone to like me.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously you see these cool kids at school and they've got like 3 or 4 girls that are after them. I'd be like, oh, I'd love it if someone was after me. I'd love it if someone actually liked me like that. And that's things like, because again, it's like that whole motherly love thing, isn't it? And obviously, if you're not trying to get motherly love from a girl at school, but it's just like it's just from the opposite sex.
The feminine.
Yeah, the feminine, exactly. 100%. Like that feminine energy. Because again, the more I've gone through my life, and this can sound really bizarre for people that know me, like because of how I am, I actually do have a very feminine side to me as well.
Yeah.
Like I've got a very masculine side. Yeah, I've got a masculine side. But I've also got a very feminine side as well. But for me, it's just like I didn't really know how to express that. And it's only really recently when. Let's genuinely be honest about it. It's probably since the podcast, let's say 3 years ago, that I've only actually really started to embrace that feminine side of me, that feminine energy, and actually being comfortable just being me, rather than constantly trying to be macho. which I've never really tried to be anyway, but you just try and fit in, don't you?
Yeah.
So it's only for me the last few years where I've realised, like, all this time throughout my childhood, I was just so in my own head. I was so in my own head, and it wouldn't have been a nice place to be because, again, you've got no concept of controlling your thoughts.
Yeah.
So all it take was for someone to say something to me, and I would have just sat there and I'd have ruminated on it. Yeah, I'd taken it on as gospel without questioning it. I'd gone straight in, and I'd sat there and ruminated on it. And let's say someone said, for example, when I talk about, I used to think I had a really big nose, I used to think I had a massive forehead, but all these things are stuff that people had said to me, and it's literally only when I really thought about it, and I've had girlfriends be like, your nose is fine, your forehead's fine, like what the hell are you going on about? And then you realise, like, okay, that's clearly rubbish then, and you disregard it. But all this other stuff I didn't realise. Like, there's all this other stuff where people are saying stuff to you, and you're just a bit like, you take it as gospel, and you're walking around in your own head thinking that if a girl looks at you, they must be thinking, oh, she's got a big nose. Or if someone laughs at you, or if someone doesn't like you, oh, it's because you've got a big nose. Or it's because you dress like this, or it's because you like this. And then you're basically creating your existence on all these other people's parameters, and then you're taking it on, then you're living in this world, essentially, where you're constantly judging and critiquing everything that you're doing to try and fit into other people's view of the world, rather than what I really needed to do at that time was just be like, what do I actually want?
Yeah.
What do I want? What do I want to do? Like, do you know what I mean? I didn't have that. My whole thing was, what do the people around me need me to be and want me to be? And how can I be that? And that's basically all it was.
Yeah.
That's literally all it was. And again, I wasn't very academic anyway, so I actually struggled to be in school. I found it very, very challenging. So for me, it just wasn't a nice time.
Was there pressure on you achieving as well?
Yeah, because my brothers are quite smart. So my brothers are quite smart, quite academic. And I just wasn't. Like, I genuinely did try, but I just found it very boring. And still to this day, like I think I said this to you in my last podcast, it's like, you give me a book on anything, if I don't want to read it, I will not read it.
Yeah.
I just won't. I do not enjoy reading. I enjoy what reading does for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you give me all the books I read, I read them and I love them because I love it. Yeah, I'm literally obsessed with it. I'll get this book and I'll literally be obsessed with reading it. But if you're like, oh, Dan, here's this amazing thing about farms, I don't care.
Yeah.
I literally don't care. I love farms, love animals. Again, poetry. I said to you before, I use the example of poetry.
Still hope that you've read one of my poems.
No, I will read poetry.
Yeah.
Like, I will read poetry. But if you gave me a book about poetry, I wouldn't care. Because I don't care about poetry. I enjoy reading poetry.
Yes, I get you.
You've taught me how to use creative writing. But if you say, oh, Dan, here's a book about poetry and where poetry came from and its roots, don't care.
To be honest,
I don't care. But that's for me. It's like, if you say, oh, Dan, actually, here's a book that I read about mental health. Cool. I then look at that book, I look at it, and I'm like, and it talks about how to be a good parent.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Could be the best book you've ever read and said, oh, Dan changed my life. I'm not a parent. I've got no intention of being a parent anytime soon. I'll keep that book. I'm like, awesome. And I've got loads of them. Maybe you've done this. People, when they recommend books on Instagram and stuff, I screenshot them. And every now and again I go back and look because I'm like, this isn't relevant to me right now, but it might be at some point. So if you gave me that book, I'm like, oh, Dan, I bought you this book. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to read it, but I'll put that over there. Then if I then do become a parent, that'll be one of the first books I go to. Because then instantly I'll want to know about it. Yeah. And because my life shifts, I'll then be looking at everything to become a better parent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for me,
always ready for the change.
I will only read what I want to read because it's what my brain needs and my subconscious, what makes my soul happy, essentially.
I judge myself and base myself on other people's standards when they're all reading the same books as each other and they're sharing them together. And I'm like, but it doesn't feed my soul. But I try to force myself into it and thus putting myself off reading a lot of the time.
But then you can't. But this thing, you can't. If everyone's reading the same book, that's not your book.
Yeah,
that's someone else's information. So just because these people, let's say there's 4 of them, and they've all read this book, which is someone else's information. They've all read the book and then talking. They're in this little clicky thing, and they're all like going on about this book.
Yeah,
that doesn't help them critically think about that book and learn and grow. Don't make sense. They've just literally taken this person's information and then just read it, and then they're confirming it all to each other. Okay, well, you've all read it, so you don't need to confirm it to each other. So actually what would be more beneficial is if all 4 of you read 4 different books on the same subject, and then you actually sat down and had a discussion about it, and then came up with your own version of it, if that makes sense. And you could be like, oh, this book said this, and you're like, oh, actually, this book said this. And you're like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, well, actually, this book said this because of this. Oh, well, that kind of ties into this, because this book says this about this. Oh, right, so what these both kind of 2 people are saying is this. Oh, that makes sense. Does that make sense? That's more beneficial than having these 4 people like, oh, we've all read the same book. Oh, brilliant. And then you keep reading all these. It's like, okay, well, all you now know is what that one author said. Brilliant. It's like people that, oh, I'll only read this kind of book or this one kind of person. It's like, I won't just read one type of book. I'll read different types of books. I'm saying a business book, like a a spiritual book, and then like a mental health mindset book.
Do you class audio as reading a book?
No.
No. I don't read many books then.
No, so the reason why I say that is I think there's something, again, I think it's a way of doing it.
Yeah.
100%. Like, so I'm not saying for a single second that people, like, I recommend clients do audiobooks when you walk in. Some people absorb the information more. But I feel there's something very powerful in actually physically reading the words. And I'll tell you what the actual trick is. Reading and listening to the book at the same time.
Wow.
Because then you're getting the visual and the audio. So when I read, I have to read out loud.
Okay, yeah.
So when I'm reading, I'm getting the audio as well. Just for me to help me read, reading out loud really helps.
Good trick.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
And just from you saying that, it made me smile because I'd never equated it, but I've done that before and it feels better.
Yeah,
when
I always read out loud. Always.
Really
and again, that's why
interesting.
sometimes I'll when it used to be in my office, like people know that I was in there and it wouldn't disturb me because they'd hear me reading out loud. And there's some people who just come in and sit and listen to me read. Like Kate, for example. I'd be like, I'm going to go read. Still, sometimes now she'll be like, can I just listen to you read? Oh. So I don't read to her. I just read out loud. I just do what I do. And she just happens to sit there and listen. So I'm not reading to her, and I wouldn't read to you.
Yeah.
I would just be reading.
And I'm like,
and I'm doing it out loud.
I want to know what's going on.
Yeah. So that's what I do.
Going back into the timeline as well then, do you think because it was such a confusing childhood for you and then school upbringing and you're always in your head, when you moved to America, did you have this idea of, I'm going to go and just rebuild myself, so I'm going to get as far away as possible?
Yeah.
Was that a concept for you?
So at the time, I basically had this girlfriend, this relationship. And basically, I went to America to run away.
Mate, we did the same. I went to Australia to get away.
So basically, this girlfriend, and looking back at it, there was nothing wrong with her at all. Like, she was absolutely awesome. I look back at this relationship again, what I'd have been, I'd have been 15, 16, 17, 18. 16, 17, 18.
How long we've known each other and how close we are, and even still we're like, oh, dude, that's why I love you so much.
I was with her for 3 years, 16, 17, 18. And again, absolutely amazing. We went through some turbulent times. I look back at it now, and I was just a terrible boyfriend. Because again, of course I would be, because I didn't know myself. And again, it's one of the things where spoke about it before when my podcast with Jeanette.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people trying to fix relationships. It's like, was it on there? No, it was on the podcast. I get confused. I spent so much time with you on the radio with Aaron. We spoke about relationships.
Yeah.
And I said, like, they're trying to fix it. It's like, no, you don't fix it, you fix yourself. So in a relationship, people try and fix it. They fix the relationship. You can't fix the relationship unless you fix yourself first, because you are part of the problem. So again, for me, all I was trying to do was fix this relationship, and this relationship was broken. And again, I blame her. I look back at it now, there's nothing wrong with her. She didn't know herself. I didn't know ourselves. We clearly weren't compatible and going through our own things. And we clashed, and then the relationship wasn't that great. Now, don't get me wrong, it had some amazing times, but I definitely did not shower myself in glory. And if you listen to her, if you went to go to speak to her, like, what was Dan like, you probably think of a bit of a knob. And I would agree. I would agree, because I would have been. But it's because I had no concept of myself and how you're supposed to act in a relationship. I literally only learned how to be in a relationship when I was 28 years old.
Before we jump into America then, let's stick in there, because that's interesting.
That's just before, that's a pivotal part before it.
What sort of moments, what were you exhibiting there that was toxic traits?
Oh, mate,
where did they stem from?
I was cheating on her all the time.
Really?
I hope to God she doesn't listen to this.
Yeah. Does she not know yet?
No, well, I don't know. She probably did. But again, I genuinely don't think she did.
I don't think it mattered.
And again, I don't think she follows me or anything, so she wouldn't say anything. But she wasn't a nice person.
Yeah.
Because again, she was absolutely stunning.
I love your honesty.
Yeah, absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. Like, I look back at it now, and this is the story of my entire life. I have someone that's very, very attractive, gives me all the love that I need, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't deserve this. Let's just destroy it.
Come on, please psychoanalyze that, because we do that.
Yeah. So
why do we do that?
Because again, I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
So I do not love myself. I literally think that I'm a piece of shit. I think I'm a piece of shit that's ugly, doesn't deserve all this happiness, and then someone has literally thrown me all this happiness. I don't know how to deal with that. I've got absolutely no idea how to deal with that. So what do? Panic. I was like, okay, well, I don't deserve this, like, so I need to try and ruin it somehow. And then so I go and do that.
Yeah.
But again, self-sabotage. But again, it's almost like I wanted to get caught.
Yeah.
I'm doing this cheating. I really want to get caught, but then this is then the thing. Because then I'm cheating, then getting validation from someone else. It's like, this person likes me. And again, you look at my repertoire of all the women I've slept with, which is hundreds and hundreds of women, and look at the vast majority of them, It was pure. I had no standards. And the reason I had no standards was because I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because I still thought as that kid at school that was ugly, that was getting bullied, that no girls wanted. So whenever anyone paid me any attention, I would jump on it. Because that's what I was crying for. I literally wanted people to like me. I was like, oh wow, this person's actually paying me attention. This person wants to sleep with me. Wow, bam, jump on it.
Yeah.
And again, it was just completely on autopilot. And sometimes I'd finish, I'd be like, what the hell is going on here? No, not that thing where guys get that when they finish, they have that lull. It wasn't that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about literally like a few days afterwards, I'd be like, what the hell is wrong with me?
That long lasting.
Yeah. What the hell is wrong with me? Because it's
self-pity.
Yeah, self-pity, like just disgust with myself, which then feeds into not liking myself.
It's the story.
And then go back to this amazing girlfriend, and they're like, what? And literally, this whole negative cycle of me just being a horrible person. Again, it's still in my own head, telling myself I'm a horrible person, and then you try and fix it. And again, she was probably doing the same thing, and I wouldn't known. But there's me just being this horrible person. I know that I'm a horrible person. I think this amazing person there. It was never going to work. So then obviously things would happen, things would clash. She would then get frustrated because obviously the energy that I'm giving off. So then she'd then come across like psychotic. She wasn't psychotic. It was me just being a dick, probably. Do you mean I look back at it now? It's like there's probably nothing wrong with her.
And she probably had problems
reasons
in her life.
Yeah, of course she
traits,
did. Because again, she's a young girl as well.
Exacerbating everything.
She's a young girl as well.
Yeah, completely.
So what it should have been, two people exploring and growing together, and it wasn't. It was me essentially being an absolute arsehole, ruining my entire life without realising I was doing it.
Yeah.
Like just trying to get some validation and love. And again, how many guys go through that their entire lives not knowing? Not knowing. Because all I needed then in that situation was just to realise that I was enough. And that this love this person was giving me, I deserved it.
Word.
Yeah, love, like genuinely, unconditional love.
Yeah.
But again, I had no idea how to give love. I had no idea. I had no idea how to give love or how to receive love. So, and again, time and time again in my life, I go back to numerous situations where I have these amazing people in my life and they'll give me unconditional love and I do not know how to deal with it. Don't have a clue. And fundamentally, it's because I did not love myself. And this is, again, when we talk about that deep work, that dark work, that inner work, that is the hardest part when you can actually sit down and look at yourself and be like, you're enough. And I remember the first time I did it and I meditated and I said to myself, I love you. Literally burst out crying, uncontrollably crying, just by saying, I love you. And I was crying my eyes out. I just sat there meditating. Just like, and whatever was going on, and out of the blue, I was like, I love you. And I really meant it. And I burst out crying. It was a beautiful moment. It's the first time I'd ever actually think I said to myself, I love you. So I'd never said it. I'm always like, I'm a dickhead, I'm this, I'm that. I was even doing it during this podcast. I'm very aware that I'm doing this, so I'm telling a story. I'm very aware that I'm saying to myself, I was a dick. Or I am. I mean, because I'm taking myself back to be in that story. It's like, it's not nice how I was talking about myself internally and the things I was doing.
Do you think, though, as well, it's accelerated you to be this person that you are because you've still not got it in there to live off of, but it's been there before, this feeling of not enough. So you've been quite tenacious with your journey and become this character. Because I'm just thinking, people that have lived that quote-unquote archetypal existence, happy lifestyle, been told they're enough for just being, which is my preference for people to be, but then they don't have this thirst to create an empire or do crazy things with their life. It really does feel, my favourite people that I've ever met in my journey have broken backgrounds. And I'm not telling parents to go and break your children and give them broken backgrounds, but it is this balance factor of going through hardship in your life, feeling not enough, but you've built this thing from it. Does that make sense?
I don't necessarily think, I think it works both ways as well, because you've got people that have had that archetypal life that you mentioned there that have been told it, and they're even more broken sometimes than the people that haven't done anything, because the people there, they're so broken because they're living in this fantasy world. They don't know reality and they can't do anything wrong. That's not reality. And they don't know themselves at all. So basically, the whole journey from both sides of the spectrum is both people trying to find themselves. So you've got one side that basically know that, or basically they their entire life convince themselves that they are no good, and they've got to bring themselves up to a level of neutrality. And you've got the other side that think they're God's gift, and they just don't live on this planet, think they're entitled and can do no wrong, and they then need to be to get to a neutral.
I suppose that, because enough is the neutral for me.
Neutral.
Being told
Everyone's
you're
enough.
But that, I think where we've gone there is like people that have been told they're the golden one.
Yeah.
And that's the danger.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of those that have been kept
Just
in
on
the
a neutral. Yeah.
I wonder how they bear in life in terms of creating great things and doing certain
Well, if they've been told that they're enough,
Yeah.
then they should already understand it because they'll know themselves a bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that people that are feeling that way, again, I would assume, I don't know, they have a lot more self-awareness.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's essentially all it is. You're trying to bring self-awareness, that neutrality of like being enough. You need that self-awareness to know that you're enough.
Well, I've got myself that I feel has gone from this level, from the bottom. I've know people that have been the golden children and turned out as knobheads, and you've got to try and bring down. But I do have examples of friends that I meet the family. I know them on such a soul level that have lived in that nice state, and you know, just witnessing how they operate. I'm thinking of my mate Jagger here, but he is so content in all aspects of his life, and I get quite a bit of envy towards it sometimes, because I'm like, you don't mind leaving a party early, you don't mind just going home, being on your own space, and having a job that ticks you over. Do you know what I mean?
Because he understands that he's enough.
Yeah.
So he understands that he's enough. So he's been brought up in that you are enough.
I think this is the area we're wanting people to get to. At all
you
forms,
are enough.
Yeah.
You are enough. You know your self-worth.
He's just had a faster track to get
Yeah, faster track there. Because again, if your parents are bringing you up saying that you're enough, no matter what goes on, like you do what makes you happy. As long as it's ethical, it's in control. Like what makes your heart happy? What makes your heart happy? Is it an ethical thing to do? Like, is it what you really want to do? If the answer is yes, then cool.
Yeah.
That then means that in adult life, if you don't want to do something, you won't do it, but you'll say, no, thank you. You'll be polite, but you're aware of what do I want? What do I need? That makes sense. And that's basically the biggest thing. Like most of us don't, like, on the other spectrum. So I generally don't believe that you have to be broken, have gone through some bad stuff to basically be on this journey. I think it helps because it gives you no choice. Like if you hit rock bottom, you've got nowhere else to go. You've got one of two ways. You either leave this planet or you do something about it. And I don't think leaving the planet's an acceptable thing. Like, when I say it's an acceptable, that's not judging anybody that's done that. What I'm saying is, like, with what's going on nowadays, like, I don't want that to be a thing.
Yeah.
I don't want people to ever feel that's the only option. Like, there's always another way. So for me, it's not acceptable in the fact of people do that because they don't feel like there's another option.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable because there is always another way. And I know that in that situation, headspace, I fully understand where people go.
I think that my favourite word, that nuanced of the conversation, but it is just those phenomenal things and those performers and you doing what you do and wanting to help so many people. I think you've said it before, it's those people that have been to those dark elements of life and what it's got to give. And we don't want everyone to have gone through there. To build a community, you've got to have people that feel they're enough and feel they're just great being the substandard part of what holds a community together. But those people that have risen from the ashes kind of thing, we need them to have been through that and create those huge pivotal things in society. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it's important that people know, yes, your journey's been hard, and yes, you've got to work a little bit harder for it, but that's going to make you later in life, you're going to create great things from it.
Life happens for us, not to us.
Yeah.
So just understand that all that stuff, if it is a bad stuff, it's because it's what you need.
Yeah.
So if in your life you have suffered this hardship, it's because it's what you need to catapult you forward. Some people need that in their life to catapult them to greatness. Other people don't need that.
Yeah.
So I fully believe that like life happens for us. Like, and again, for me, like all that stuff happened for me. Like, it was teaching me valuable lessons to catapult me to where I am now. Where like your mate Jagger, for example, probably didn't need that. Like life didn't need to give him that to get to where he was going to.
Because that's what I'm thinking, just for myself, is if I'd have been told on this farm, you're enough, you were fine, you're great doing what you do, I'd have probably, and this is a fine existence and story too, I would have just potted on the farm, become my dad, worked in the catteries and lived that thing. But because I've had to strive to prove myself and show my validation and find validation, then that's why we're sitting on these buses. That's why I've been on stages and done all those things.
But you might have actually, by doing that, discovered your creative flow.
Yeah.
So actually, you might have, because again, you've been in this existence, you might have then started singing.
Yeah.
Or writing poetry.
Yeah.
So again, it's one of the things where it's interesting. Like, how, like if that's what you were meant to be as a person, you'd have found a way for it to happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if the universe has told you, right, you need this kicking out of you. Like this, like it needs to come out of you. So you've got to go for this stuff for then for it to come out and flourish. For you to then go for your mission. Whereas if you're just working on the farm, what's to say that? Again, you couldn't have been writing poetry and doing that then. It's just a different thing.
I've enjoyed this part of the conversation. It's very interesting, and it isn't sort of clear cut, is it?
No, not at all.
Really
you never know.
Interesting philosophy to sort of ponder and explore down. But let's go into America then, because what were you like as a character here? Well, how old were you and what you were doing?
I was in America when I was 18, 19, 20. No, 19, 20, 21, 22 when I was there. And what was I like as a character? So I went over there thinking that I was going to be the best goalkeeper in the world because Americans can't play football. And basically I was very much built up in my head that I was going to go there and it's going to be amazing. It's an amazing thing. And it really wasn't. Like, the Americans are actually a lot better at football than we think. We give them credit for. They're actually
Americans can play
they're
football.
really, really good. And they will win in a World Cup, I believe, before England do.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the thing is, they've got the pool. The problem is they don't have the history.
What star players have they got at the minute? Is it Donovan or
I haven't
somebody?
got a clue. I don't think he's still
Yeah.
playing anymore. But you got to think with Americans. The thing with Americans is they don't have the culture or desire to play football like we do. They don't have the cultural history of it. Like, they're not brought up playing soccer.
Yeah.
Like, it's American football. So we've got to think, in America, throughout the schooling system, they basically play 5 or 6 different sports. Whereas in this country, you either play cricket, or you play rugby, you play football. But over there, in the winter, they play basketball. Then they'll play American football. Then there'll be 100-meter sprinters. Then there'll be shot putters. And it's like, what? Like, they're literal athletes. So if you get someone that's like that, that's an all-rounded well athlete, that can run, jump, do this sort of stuff, and basically built like a monster.
Yeah, they are.
And then they actually understand. Then they've grown up in a footballing environment, and they start to play football and enjoy it, and they built up. You then have the perfect thing. The problem is that they don't have that history. They're a little bit behind. But like
These complete specimens.
yeah, they are, because again, the facilities that American schools have compared to the English schools are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So again, so I basically went there and basically was really, really humbled, and then got really heavily into drinking. So again, for me to deal with what was going on, the fact that I was there and I was basically a failure. I went there to play football, and I was not playing football. I just drank.
Really?
I just drank, smoked loads of weed.
Oh, did you? Yeah. I didn't know that about you.
I literally do not talk about my time in America at all.
Wow.
Not many people know. What we're going to talk about, if we're talking about America, like the time in America, I do not talk about it because it was such a hard topic for me to talk about. I basically essentially forgot it even existed. Because again, I had girl problems in America that was very, very prominent. Like, again, just recurring themes of my life happened when I was in America. So then guess what? I then came back afterwards. So I ran to America to get away from a problem, and then I came back from America because I was a bit like, well, the university messed up my visa application after the 4 years, so I kind of had to sort of come back.
You were there for 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
Wow, that is a big part of your life then.
Yeah.
And was it turbulent?
Yeah. So that's the first year. My roommate was a guy called Rafael Machado, so he was Brazilian. So again, there's me going to America. Never even been to America on holiday. Never been to America in my life. And then I basically got put with this Brazilian. So I didn't even realise that Brazilians spoke Portuguese. I thought Brazilians spoke Brazilian.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, there's no such language as Brazilian. Okay, it's Portuguese. Okay, fine. This guy couldn't speak any English.
Oh.
So I'm then stuck there in this room with this guy who's never also been to America. He's from Brazil. So imagine the cultural shock for him.
Yeah.
He can't speak English.
What did you say? Like, no English, no English.
Literally, then I then start to teach him English.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So literally, we're still best mates now. Like, we're still really, really good friends. Honestly, so there's him, the guy called Nick DeBacker, who was a Belgian kid. When I first went there was only a few foreign kids. So there was one other English kid that'd been there the year before me. Then there was me, him, and this Belgian kid. So we were, and 2 Ecuadorians. But so what was I saying?
I was just, but how quickly? So you've gone away from Dan in the UK to try and rebuild yourself and formulate something.
Yeah. Not intentionally. No. I wasn't going to rebuild anything.
Yeah.
I had no awareness that I was a shit show.
But
I just ran away.
Subconsciously, yeah,
I ran away. I wasn't trying to rebuild. I was not going to America to rebuild anything or to become someone different. I just thought I was okay.
Yeah.
I just needed to get out of the situation and move me to another country.
Okay, I get you.
I didn't go there to be like, oh, when I run away, life will be. It's like, no,
So how quickly did you realise, oh, this place wasn't any good either?
I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't. Honestly, I look back at my time in America now. I essentially wasted 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, because again, it turns out I'm very socially, not socially awkward is the wrong word. Maybe a little bit socially awkward. Different
Like
word.
socially adapt? Or...
Anxious. I don't like social situations. I don't like going on nights out. So I would not go on nights out, and I would just sit there in my dorm room by myself on the computer for 4 years. I missed out on a lot of opportunities because I felt really anxious. I didn't realise it was anxiety.
You were going there to be the best footballer. Yeah. How quickly did you realise that wasn't going to be the
case? So my story. So let me try and I'll do a brief overview. So the first year I was there, drank a lot, smoked a lot, basically just a nightmare. I then got really annoyed about that, and then second season I came back, and I was a bit better. So I was like, right, I need to get better at this. Like, I need to improve. Second season, again, didn't really do anything. sat on the bench, potted around, and then I got really, really annoyed. So I was like, right. So I then went away after the second year being there, came back. So every summer I came back home, and I thought, right, I'm going to absolutely hammer this. Because essentially what I've done is I got myself so fat in America as well. So I gained 2 stone. So I got myself up to 210 pounds, which is kind of roughly the size I am now. No, bigger than I am now, but I was fat, not muscly.
Fat, yeah.
And I gave myself asthma. Because that's how unhealthy I was. So I came back. I'm getting confused here with my timings. It was... 1 second. Yeah, so the second year I then came back, but I'd lost all the weight. So in that summer, I basically focused, I'm going to come back and get myself in shape. So I did. Came back, got myself in shape. Didn't really focus too much on football when I came back to this country. Anyway, thought I'd get better next year. I was a bit unlucky. I thought I was just fat and acclimatising. Came back second year. Again, didn't play. So 2 years I didn't play. Because in America, it was on seniority. So the goalkeeper that was ahead of me was a year older than me. So he was always going to be the starting goalkeeper unless I was something special. Right. Because they go on seniority. That's how it works. Unless you're something special, the senior player always plays. That's how it works. Unless you're something exceptional. And I wasn't. It's a goalkeeper. It's one position. So I was nothing special compared to him. So he plays. Then after the second season, I was really pissed off. Because I was like, right, I hate sitting on the bench. This is like crippling me. So then I basically came back and this is when I played for... who's it this season? Rugby Town and some other teams. And I hired a goalkeeping coach.
Nice.
So basically, I was having a goalkeeping coach 3 times a week and playing at a very good semi-pro standard in this country. Okay. Really, really good. And honestly, really, I was down. I was like, I felt amazing. I'd lost all this weight, super fit. Anyway, came back, didn't play again. But it was his senior year. So it was his last year. So I kind of knew that I wasn't going to play. So now, I look back at myself as a person, I was I would have been very depressed at these 3 years, because football was a big part of my life. So it really would have bothered me.
Yeah.
I'm skipping over massive parts of the story. Then, I knew that when I left for summer that year, the coach and manager said to me, you're going to be captain when you come back, kind of thing. So I was like, cool. I was like, right, I don't believe you. Because I'd heard he was going to get some more goalkeepers. So anyway, I kept my ear to the thing, and it then turns out he was signed to 3 of the goalkeepers. So before he was minutes of the goalkeeper, he signed 3 others, and these were all younger than me. And I thought, he's only going to get a year out of me. So he's not even going to play me this last year, because he doesn't think I'm good enough. Because he didn't think I was good enough for the last 3 years. Bear in mind, the third year I came back, I had substantially improved. Because I spent all that money.
Okay.
You've got to think, for 6 weeks, 7 weeks I was back, 3 goalkeeping sessions a week, I was good. As a professional goalkeeping coach, like a professional goalkeeping coach, smashing balls at me.
Yeah.
My footwork could improve, my handwork could improve, everything had improved. And I came back during that pre-season, and I was substantially better than that other goalkeeper during pre-season. Substantially better. Didn't get the nod.
Oh.
So my mental health went downhill, and that was it. I just sacked it off, basically. I didn't even try and keep it up. I didn't even try and fight for my place. Just kind of sacked it off. And that's a bit of a regret for me. And then the final year, this one I went to Tamworth. So at Tamworth, this is a professional football team. I was training with them every day, like a professional football player. I was hammering the gym. So I was training in the gym and I was running. I came back the leanest I've ever been. I outran every single player on that football team, because you basically had to do a fitness test. So I was determined. I was like a man on a mission. And I was like, I'm going to make it impossible for you not to play me. There's no way you can't play me. I'm going to be that good that you are going to look like an absolute idiot for not playing me. So I was like a workhorse. I was the fittest I've ever been. And literally every time I was running, I could picture that coach. And I used that pain. So I look back at it now, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I know all this stuff about mental health and mindset, but that's all I was doing. I was literally channeling all this energy. Then Tamworth offered me this contract, and basically my dad said, you're going to be a bit silly not to not go back and finish this last year. Anyway, went back, absolutely smashed it. So in the first game we played of the season, we were playing against a team that was nationally ranked. So when I first started this university, this is a key point of this as well. When I first started, my university was terrible. The first year was a different manager. Second year, he left, and we had this arsehole was the manager, guy called Richard Markham, but he was incredible. He basically said he had the same group of players and said, you will not be outworked. So he used to run us into the ground. We ended up winning the league. Really? The same player, because we were fitter than everyone else. Yeah. And then because we did that, we got better players. So now this final year, we are now nationally ranked. So I think we're nationally ranked 15th. So we're the top 15th team in the country. So we then go to California on this pre-season thing, and we play against a team that was second. And they had the best forward in the league. So I then start. I get the nod. Wow. For this whole pre-season, I've been doing amazing. Wow. So I go there, and I do absolutely incredible. We end up winning that game, 3-2, and I set up the winning goal. I think their forward got substituted. That really good got substituted. I was amazing, and everyone was like, wow, I've made some incredible saves. Because you're playing against one of the best teams in the country. Yeah. Then the game straight after that, we drew 0-0 with a team that was ranked third. So I basically, in this 2 games, had cemented myself as the goalkeeper. training session that week when we came back, I then snapped my knuckle. So one of my defenders ran in front of me, and my knuckle was hanging off at 90 degrees,
dude.
like straight across. I've still got issues with it now. Get to hospital, and they say you're done, can't play. And I says I'm not leaving this hospital until you can tell me that I can play. And literally, I refused to leave. Literally, point blank, I refused to leave. And luckily, there was an English doctor. So anyway, he came in, I was talking to him, I explained the whole situation. Basically, what I just said to you, I kind of summarised it very quickly. Like, this is my year. This is what's happening. I am playing, whether you tell me I can or I can't, so that I don't have to lose this finger. What can we do? And he basically created this cast that I could take on and off. So it just slipped over, and it fully wrapped around my hand, so I could not move this finger. It's fully locked in.
Yeah.
And I had to pay every time. I trained twice a day, so I had to take ibuprofen every day, chop it all up, and I had the second best stats that season out of every goalkeeper in the country.
See,
every goalkeeper in the country. So I carried on playing.
This is what we were alluding to
I missed one game.
earlier in our conversation, though, because that's a sickening attitude.
Yeah.
And I think
I've always had it.
This is a quote that I've only just made up now, but for sickening outcomes, you have to have sickening mindset, and you seem to have got all of that from what we've just spoke about in your timeline. I don't know many.
I've always had this, but this is bizarre you mentioned this.
Yeah.
I've always had this, always in my life. I've had this voice inside my head. Okay, we've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
And that pre-season, when I came back, and that was there. Every day that was driving me. Every single day it was driving me to get better and push harder and work hard. And literally was there. I was so motivated. I was so determined. And then I look back when I was depressed, and it completely gone.
Yeah.
And this is bizarre. I don't remember told him this. I'd wake up or go to bed and I'd be like, "Oh, that voice will come back."
Yeah, yeah.
I literally, that voice will come back. Like it'll come back. It's one of those things because I didn't understand any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So that spark, I literally did not have that spark. I was so numb. I was like, I just want it to come back. And I remember going to bed very vividly. One time, I was like, I just want this thing to come back. Like I'll just snap out of it.
Yeah.
That voice will come back, and I'll be fine.
I think that's what our job and duty is, and why we work in mental health, is because it's bringing the unconscious conscious. And people that have tricky pasts, turbulent pasts, write themselves off and they clung to it. But what I'm saying here is you've got from that past and that pain an incredible mindset, but because you've become conscious now, you're channeling that. You're not ever going to lose that past, but you can channel it in these wonderful things. But you weren't conscious at the time, so you could be amazing and get a cast fitted and do this crazy stuff. But when the pain come, the pain really come, and you didn't have the way of being conscious of it being. And I think that's what we're trying to get people to do that have been there and had this past, is to go, be conscious of it, be aware of who you are. You're going to do phenomenal things with your life because of this, but the pain will come. The pain will come, and you've got to be ready for it, and that consciousness there. So let's go into that then. When it did come to you, was that in the UK? Did you have to come home first for everything to go quote unquote terribly wrong?
Well, I think it went terribly wrong when I came back home as well, to be honest with you, because I basically definitely did go into depression when I came back home. So I definitely did. So
you weren't depressed in America then?
Well, I would have been. No, I would have been. I just wouldn't realise.
Yeah.
I genuinely would not have realised. So again, in America, I got really badly beaten up.
I remember you telling me
so
that.
I got really badly beaten up, so I don't drink alcohol because, long story short, again, me in relationships with girls, there was a girl there that I've never had such strong feelings for. But again, it was the blind leading the blind. It was the broken trying to fix the broken. So she had a problem with alcohol. She'd had a driving license taken off her for drinking alcohol. She was a very big drug person. And again, she had her own issues going on. And there's me trying to be the fixer. And basically just ended up just my life just being an absolute joke. She slept with a few members of the football team when we were together, which again then also, as you can imagine, caused issues with me and some of my teammates. But again, they didn't know because the whole thing was just a bit of a joke.
This
really.
Sounds interesting.
That's a bit of a joke. Anyway,
that's an episode.
And I brought her back to the UK one summer. There's a whole host of things that have gone on. Anyway, and basically the person that beat me up was her ex-boyfriend. So,
wow.
Yeah, no, long story short. So I clearly, at moments in my life during America, because again, I remember feeling very alone. So the guy that beat me up, basically, with that night that it happened, my football team went nuts. This was in the final year I was there. So my football team went absolutely nuts. And there was a big guy called Javid. Javid Wood, his name is, and he's absolutely massive. This Jamaican, like 6'4", like built like a brick shit house. And when he first came here, he's like a gentle giant, like the nicest, soft guys I ever met. So the third year I was there is when he came, and he wasn't a first team player. He was in the reserves like me. So we were playing this reserve team match one day, but he's a real gentle soul, real gentle soul. And basically, he'd gone in for this tackle, and basically someone had he basically hurt someone in this tackle, and basically this whole team had gone after him, and he didn't mean to hurt this person. And basically, I just basically came out of the goal and just basically grabbed this guy and just sort of like threw him to basically protect this Javid guy. But didn't he protect him? He was massive. Yeah. But I basically then got his respect for that because I'd actually stood up to defend him and help him. Right. So then that was it. Like he was then like my rock. Do you remember when we were playing a game? Like he was like literally like he was defending like his king. Like and again then the final season he was then my centre back and we just had this amazing relationship. So basically when he found out this thing had happened, basically him and a load of lads went down to go kick this guy's door in. So I was like, that was amazing. I've got people who've got my back. Again, that validation. Like, people actually do care. Yeah. But then this is then when it turns. So again, they couldn't find him that night because obviously they were fuming. They were obviously filled with rage that I've just been beaten up.
Testosterone.
Yeah, testosterone. They want to go beat him up. They couldn't find him. And then literally a week later, they were all hanging out with him. Oh. Because he supplied them with the weed. Oh. So I was just a bit like, okay, so you don't really care that much then. Because obviously that's still like, although the physical wounds had healed, the emotional side of that had happened, and 100%. Lost. So in my head, I'm like, if someone's done that to my mate, I don't care what you're providing. I'm not now hanging out with you. You've just literally done that to my mate. So
where
in my head,
do your
I'm like,
standards lie?
exactly.
Where do your priorities
so now
lie?
in my head, I'm like, so these are the same guys that slept with my girlfriend. Oh, these are the same guys. Not all of them. Just an example. But like, and that's when that last. I honestly can't even talk about this. I'm not supposed to. So that last year I was in America, I really went into my shell a bit because I just didn't want to socialise with anyone. I was just completely by myself. So then I was then still with this girl at this time. And basically, we broke up at the airport. It was literally one of the things where the last night I was in America, we got a hotel, spent the last night together, and then that was it. Yeah, really sad. Anyway, that. So again, I thought that was love. It wasn't love. So that relationship really hurt me because I literally gave everything to that relationship, and it still hurts now when I think about it. Anyway, and then I then came back and I was like, well, now what? So literally, I then sat and played on Xbox for 6 months.
Really?
And I would not open the curtains in my room. I'd just wake up, I'd go to the gym, come back and play on Xbox, and that would be it. And my mum would be like, are you okay? But yeah, I'm fine. I wasn't fine. I literally was very clearly depressed. I had no idea that I was depressed. I literally played on Xbox, didn't do anything, didn't socialise, didn't really see anyone. And then my mum basically was like, you've got to get yourself a job, I'm kicking you out.
Really?
So I'd already, before I went to America, I'd qualified as a PT. I only qualified as a PT to basically stay at college for another year. Didn't want to be a personal trainer. Didn't really care that much about it. I was like, I like fitness, get this qualification. Didn't do anything really with it when I was in America. Although I did some stuff, like I worked for a gym in America. But it wasn't anything like I do now. And I thought, right, okay, I'll become a fitness coach at Virgin Active. And that's basically how I kind of fell into the fitness industry in this country. Because I was like, okay, I suppose I can do this. And that was it. I had no desire to do it. I just basically had no choice. And I just saw this thing. I was like, okay,
I love
do
this, mate.
Yeah. So literally, I had no intention of doing it. But again, I had no idea that I was depressed. I had no idea I was depressed. I just thought I was just feeling sad. But it wasn't sadness. I literally did not open the curtains. I was just not okay.
Reflecting back to it all, and you love the journey that you're on now.
Yeah.
But would it have been your first point of call being in a gym or anything? I know you just did something, but do you think you've followed a path that makes sense to you?
I look back now, like, what would I have done if I wasn't? Like, let's just be like, if I wasn't this, I'd have been a builder. Like you said, I'd been on the farm. Yeah. Like it'd been a natural thing for you to just be on the farm, be a farmer. Mate, I have absolutely no idea. Yeah. Because I wasn't academic. Yeah. I'm not good at DIY. I did literally, like, I do not know what I would have done. I had a business degree, never run a business, had no intention to be in a business. Now I'm an entrepreneur and I really love the business.
Football, wasn't it?
Yeah, really? Plan was football.
The plan was just football.
But then I fell out of love with football.
Yeah.
So I completely fell out of love with football, probably because it also happened in America.
Yeah.
So then what?
Wow.
Like, now am I at? It's like I literally had nothing else to do or bring in my life. I was like, that was the problem.
It's kind of lucky that your mum did that
100%.
to you, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
At some point, you have to take an extra step, don't you? Yeah. As hard as it could be
pushed.
So yeah.
Be pushed off that, and that's what she literally pushed me off that diving board.
Wow, mate. So you've gone to Virgin. Mm-hmm. You're working in this environment.
Yeah.
And you don't know you're depressed.
Yeah.
When does it hit you like a rock?
It didn't that time. So that time, I just kind of threw myself into being a fitness coach. So I was already there as a PT, I was as a fitness coach. So I just threw myself into it. So literally, I had no idea what depression was. I don't think I knew what the word meant. I don't think I had any concept of the word depression, anxiety. I don't have any clue. I don't think I've even heard of the word. I can't remember when I first heard the word depression. but definitely wasn't then. Like, so I was just like, right, go do this thing. And Virgin Active, like, you have to be happy.
Yeah.
Back in the day when you were there, it's changed a bit now, but like, what are they called? Oh, there's a word for them. There's a word. It's going to trigger me.
Optimists?
No. They called you something. Like you get like I can't even think of an example. Like the people who work at Apple, they're called. They're called things, aren't they? Like
if you support Justin Bieber, you'll be like.
Believe. So Virgin Active had the same thing. Oomph. You have to give oomph.
I love
this oompher. So basically, you have to always be like, like 100 miles an hour, like energy. That's
no.
it. So basically, I was in that environment, like being that.
BBC
So kind of, 100%.
CBBC.
So basically, I was then cast into that. So that's basically what I was judged on, being like that.
Yeah.
So obviously, every day, put my mask on unknowingly, go and do this thing, and before you know it, because you're being all happy and people are like drawn to it, you just kind of are happy because you kind of just fakes being happy, and then naturally, as depression does, it kind of goes away, and I just went back to just being normal without even realising that wasn't normal in the first place. That makes sense?
Yeah,
completely. And then basically the personal training coach kind of said to me, because basically at Virgin Active at the time, you had to write programs for people, and you got a free program when you joined up. So you'd join up, I'd write your free program, and then every six weeks I could rewrite you a new one. And basically what happened is people wouldn't be having personal training because I'd be writing them 5-day training splits. So they're meant to be given one program. Just one program, like one day. Yeah. And I've written 5 training programs. And then basically, why would I have PT when that guy's writing me free stuff? So basically, this after 6 months of being there, the PT manager was like, listen, you kind of have to, like, be a personal trainer here, or you kind of gone, like, because you taking business away from personal trainers. So I thought, okay, cool, like, yeah, whatever, like, fine, cool. So I put on this new uniform, got my first client, and when did the first client, I literally remember, like it was yesterday, I did that first hour of PT in, I literally thought I'd stolen that woman's money. And I was like, I hate being this bad at something. So then I literally spent, I think that day, £1,500 on a course. And literally course after course after course after course. My dad, and again, the thing with my dad used to say to me all the time, like, you're wasting all your money. Bear in mind, I didn't drink at this time. I wasn't going out. I was still living at home. I was like, I'm spending all my money reinvesting in myself. And my dad used to call me an idiot all the time. Like, you need to save your money. You need to do this. I'm like, Dad, like, I can't get better if I don't learn. So I don't know anything. So I literally course. I went on so many courses. Went to Wales.
It's so fascinating, man. I was just thinking it because you did that for the football. Yeah. You got the professional footballer to teach you. You went here. Yeah. You paid $1,000. I don't even know how to psychoanalyze that because it's such an interesting attitude, and so many young people listening to this podcast now would benefit greatly from hearing the importance of investing into yourself and putting that attitude and energy into it.
But I didn't even know that's what I was doing. I just didn't like to be bad at something.
Yeah,
so I wasn't consciously being like, oh yeah, I've got to invest in myself. I'm investing in myself. It's like, no. I just suck at this. Yeah. I hate sucking. I need to find all this information. So it's on a subconscious level.
Stem from a past thing to happen. People have called me stupid.
Oh my God, yeah. You've been calling me stupid. Honestly, if anyone wants to see, like if you call me stupid, or if you insinuate, 100%. So again, some stuff that's happened recently as well. Like again, I'm not going to go into in this podcast. Like some stuff that happened on recently. Like what people don't realise that they've done that situation by backing me into a corner and acting a certain way. Yeah. Is you've literally ignited this in me because I now know what causes it, and I now know how to do it and use it. So I now know how to control this. But at the time I didn't. I was like, I suck at this. I've got to get better, and I've then got to be the best, and that was it. So then I went to the best personal trainer at the gym at the time and said, so there's a guy there that mentored me. So basically said to him, would you mind taking me under your wing? And then the second best guy that was there as well said, can you recommend me 3 books? So he said, oh yeah, read this. So I went and bought them and read them.
This is why we should thank those people that pushed us into corners, though, back in the day. Even though it's so painful and horrible that you suck, you're dumb, you're this. I mean, it's made you become that. Yeah. You go and find the answers.
I don't hold any ill will towards anyone that bullied me. Yeah. At all. None. There's no.
It's shaped and crafted.
100%. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything. Even I know about now, my experience in America. And it makes me sad. Genuinely, this I don't think about too much. It makes me very, very sad. Because I still talk that ex-girlfriend, because again, she's gone through her own journey. So she's reached out to me, because again, America's like 11 years ago. So she's reached out to me about 3 or 4 years afterwards, and literally was so full of remorse, and had this realization of, wow, like I had this really amazing guy. Because her parents loved me. Like the stuff I did to help her, I genuinely was like just helping her out, like trying to make her the best version of her. I was believing in her before she believed in herself. She sent me this massive long message to be like, I am so sorry. So we're on talking terms now. I don't wish any will towards her because I know she wasn't doing it deliberately. Especially from the place I'm at now, I know she wasn't doing it deliberately. She's going for her own stuff. And I look back at America, that makes me really, really sad. And I'm like, I wish I could go back and make better use of my time there. I wish I could have done this, wish I could have done that. But then I snapped myself out of being like, I needed that. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
so this is why I don't really talk about it too much, because I go back there and when I can see these people's faces just flashing up. It makes me happy. But then I'm like, I didn't really make the most of my time there. I wish I could go back like everyone does. I wish I could go back now and be this person back then. But you can't, which is why I just choose to look at the positives rather than really going into the reality of what the situation was. Does that make sense?
And having regrets in life, I think is really important because when I live life now, I'm trying to make the best in this moment.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Only if you don't let them cripple you. Because I don't think regret. There's got to be a terminology for it. Lessons. So if you regret something, I feel like you wish you could do something different. Yeah. But that happened for a reason for you to get to where you were. Because if that hadn't happened, you then wouldn't have been feeling this regret. This thing going to push and drive you forward. Does that make sense?
Yes. Because I'm the same. When I went travelling, I know how many incredible spots that I went with awesome people, and my love for nature now and beauty in nature is so much different to then. I was just getting hammered and doing all these daft things, but I do regret not being in the moment there. Do you know what I mean? But now, because I've got that regret to some degree, it's not crippling me. When I'm near a waterfall or on an incredible hike or walk, I'm going, remember how that made you feel to regret that thing? Really embrace this. And it does propel that.
Yeah, it's just to make sure, because most people, again, they get depressed because they're thinking back in the past. And that's essentially what I was living in this past of America because it was so painful. I was just living there. I wish I could do this, I wish I could have done that, look, all these people treat me. So now when I look back at it, like I look back at it fondly. Like I literally can look back fondly. It's only when I'm having conversations like this, because every now and again I get into my own head and think about America. But it's a fond memory now. Because I've addressed all this negativity that was there, whereas before I didn't, and I couldn't even have this conversation. Because it would trigger me so much, going back and discussing some of this stuff, that it would literally ruin my whole day. But now I'm at complete ease. My heartbeat hasn't changed. I'm at complete ease. It's like, this is what happened. Like, it hurts, it sucks, it was horrible, but it is what it is, and it's led me to where I am now. And everything in my life, I look at everything, even still some stuff that happens now, even the last year, some stuff that's happened, I'm like, yeah, I could have handled that better. Yeah, I could have done this. But like, everything's taught me a lesson. And my thing is, like, I'm every single day trying to be a better version of me. And I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I do make mistakes. I have got some skeletons in my closet from my past, which I'm not proud of, but everyone does. But it's like, my thing is, like, every single day I'm trying to be a better version of me and actually learning from it. That's my thing. It's like, can I just, like I said, honestly, some of the stuff like that I've done in my past, like even going back to that girlfriend, like, it's shameful. Like, if you got her on this podcast and she started talking about me, like, people are like, wow, this guy's a monster. And I was at that time. But it's like, that was just me at that point. It wasn't malicious. I wasn't deliberately doing it.
Didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah, 100%. There was no, I was making the best out of what I had, the knowledge I had at that time. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all I knew.
Lack of consciousness.
Yeah, like a complete lack of consciousness. There was no malice in it. I wasn't deliberately going out of my way and being an arsehole. I wasn't deliberately going out of my way and doing these things. I've never have done in my life done that.
And that's why people need to be gentle with themselves, because they look back at their past self and they have it with such hatred, and they hold what you were saying earlier. You just label yourself and create this story where you're such a terrible person. It's like, mate, you just didn't know what you were doing.
You're making the best out of the best. You're making the most out of the information you had at that time.
Yeah,
you didn't know any better.
That's a cool saying.
Yeah.
We've got to do your podcast now, mate.
Yeah.
We've got to go in.
Roles reversed.
I'm taking control here. I'm making timekeeper. I know. But there is that picture when we go into assemblies and you put up pictures of you, and it goes from the Virgin to then this guy.
The Virgin.
The Virgin active guy. You definitely weren't a virgin, were you, mate?
The Virgin.
The Virgin fella. That's getting clipped out.
Yeah,
I love that.
No, you need to put a picture up.
Little...
I'll send you a picture of it. Yeah, there you go. Oh my God.
The Virgin active guy, and then straight into the next clip. And it's where you're modelling as well, isn't it, this stage? And then the next slide, which is in the same linear time scale. This awful picture, we'll pop that up. And I can see this broken man, completely emotionless, I suppose.
Talking about the one on the bed?
Yeah. What's the lowest of your low? Where were you? Because it looks, when I see that picture, it genuinely gives me like goosebumps. I'm like, mate, I've been there. I know that one. Could you literally not get up?
Some days I couldn't get up, no. And literally, I just wanted to not wake up. Like, I literally, again, I made a conscious effort like you to like try and end it. I hadn't gone to that level. I just didn't want to wake up. But like, I went to bed. It's like, if I don't wake up today, I'm happy. I'm cool. If this is my last time, then cool. I'm happy with that. Yeah, and I look back now, and because again, it all sort of blurs into one. Like I said, it's just like very, when we spoke earlier on about that voice, it just came to me and it was very clear. And again, I've not thought about that for forever. The fact of like, I kept thinking of stuff like, oh, it'll get better because his voice will come back. And I didn't know that I was depressed. I just knew that I was really low. Because again, I don't even think then I knew what depression was. I don't think I knew what depression was. I just thought I was feeling really, really sad and really, really low. And I think I said this to you last time I was on the podcast. It's only when I spoke to a mental health nurse about 4 years ago, there was a client of mine who's very high up. And I basically turned around to her. And this is even after I like shared my story about being depressed. In my head, I was a bit like, I don't even actually think I was that depressed. So I said to her, I don't actually think I was depressed. I think I was just feeling really sad, actually. Like, I keep saying everyone was depressed, but am I just like playing this little victim card? And she went, well, tell me about how you felt. I described it to her, and she went, no, you were pretty bad. Like, you were really not okay. And I was like, what? Because again, I don't really want to hear that. I think I kind of wanted her to tell me, oh, no, you weren't that bad. No, you weren't that bad. You were fine. But she was like, no, you were actually really bad. So then that's when I really actually accepted I had been into this dark hole. Because before then, I kind of just sort of like, be like, oh yeah, I was depressed. Yeah, depressed. Yeah, kind of not really. But then it's like when I got this expert, and I basically described it. She was like, no, you were really bad. I was like, oh. And
you attribute the depression to everything we've just been through on this podcast. The whole story,
the whole thing,
the whole.
It was a girlfriend that was a catalyst, and this breakdown of relationship again. Women, story of my life. But again, I look back at this whole story. But essentially what it was yes, a combination. That moment in time was a combination of everything, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
That relationship, that end of the relationship, and how it ended, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and that is when I fell off the cliff. But it wasn't that, if that makes sense. It was a combination of everything.
Yeah.
That was just the cherry on the top.
You've been handed your arse. You've been shown.
Yeah. There's only so much you can suppress stuff, especially when it comes to grief, loss. Which again, look at all the stuff that happened. In America, so they talk about all this sort of stuff, like they talk about grief, and again, grief not just the loss of a person as in like a physical being, but loss of a job, change. So I literally left America without really realizing I was going to leave America. Broke up my girlfriend at the airport. I've gone through all these changes, all these things, not dealt with any of them. Constantly having this negative voice inside my head, like crippling me and telling me I was a waste of space and blah 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 blah. And then had this relationship end when I bought this girl, this amazing girl that I literally like thought was head over heels. I wasn't. It was all lust. This tattooed model, like everything. If you like had this vision of this girl I wanted to be with, was her. To basically have this whole thing end so terribly, I just couldn't deal with it. Just couldn't deal with it. I just couldn't. I had no reason to wake up. I didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to do anything because I put so much time, energy, and effort into this person again that was also broken. Again, severe mental health issues. Before I had any idea, but severe, like diagnosed on medication. Turns out she wasn't taking the medication. That was the issue.
Yeah.
But again, I look back at it, and for years, I'd use that as an excuse. Oh, because again, she tried to kill me is essentially the moral of the story.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, she tried to kill me. Feel sorry for me. Victim. I now look back at it from this place I'm in now, and again, it's during the lockdowns where I looked at it, and I was like, fuck, I made that worse. Because I didn't know anything about her conditions, and I was trying to be this best version. I made her worse.
Yeah.
And that hurts.
Wow.
I made her worse. And again, it wasn't for any
Especially
intention.
somebody like you.
Yeah, and I literally loved her. I literally
Yeah.
was obsessed with her. And I literally brought her down from Manchester to live in this house. I got this house, this flat apartment thing, for us both, to get her away from this environment. I did everything to look after her, to protect her. But now I understand anxiety, severe anxiety, and now I understand personality disorders. What I was doing, I was not articulating myself. I was being the best version of me, but by doing that, it wasn't helping her conditions. Does this make sense? She didn't need me to be this. She needed me to be that. I didn't know. So yes, did I deserve the outcome? Absolutely not.
And you wouldn't have been quite congruent though to you though. If you were being this and you had to be that. Yeah. But you wouldn't have been what you needed to be for you.
No, so for example, it was so with this anxiety, because again, she's in a new environment, new situation, like, so I would be very blasé about, I'm structured and routined.
I get you.
So like, right, we're going to the gym at this sort of time, and I go to the gym, train my clients, and I come back, I'm like, right, I've got like an hour now to train. But obviously, if you're super anxious, you've been in the house all day long by yourself in a new environment. I probably shouldn't have expected her to be ready to go to the gym.
Yeah, I get you.
So I've got an hour. We've got to go train.
So
I was never angry or like, we've got to go effing train. There's nothing that, but the sheer act of me just being like, I should have, again, in hindsight, knowing what I do now, booked off a 3-hour window and been like, right, for the next hour when I go in, I've got to make sure she's okay.
I get you.
Ask her, what does she need? Do you even want to go train today? Would you rather go for a walk? What do you need? How can I actually help you in this situation? How's your anxiety today?
Yeah.
Like, have you been for a walk? Have you eaten anything? I could have handled it so many different ways, but I didn't. I'd come in like, right, we've got to go train. So again, nothing angry or malicious in that. Nothing. But I was like, right, you need to go train. Like, it's going to help you. Like, you're going to feel better when you train. Again, not articulating it. Not doing it. Someone's like, I just make you feel better.
Yeah.
So this whole thing, I was making things inadvertently worse without realising it.
So then...
And for me to actually own and take full responsibility of that and that situation, because again, I didn't deserve the outcome. I didn't cause that outcome. Because again, she massively played her part in it. But all I did was blame her. She did this to me.
Yeah.
No, she didn't. Like, I now look back at it, I'm like, no, actually, like, I played my part in that.
It doesn't feel like it sounds right for either of you.
No, it wasn't at all. So I think she's got a kid.
Yeah.
I literally haven't heard from her since
doing her thing.
Yeah, since it's out. But all I ever want is for her to be happy.
Yeah.
Because that's what she deserves. Mm-hmm. And again, look back at it now, it's a massive life lesson for me, because now when I look at people that are severe anxiety, like I know, I literally think I've got a video somewhere on my phone where, not this phone, my old phone, where she literally was screaming, going absolutely psychotic, throwing things, going nuts, and it's like, but I now understand that.
Yeah.
I didn't at the time.
Because you managed to get a little video of it.
Because no one believed me.
Really?
So even when this thing happened,
Johnny Deppter.
So even when this thing happened and called the police and the police came, like, so there's me now, absolutely massive, like muscle, and this tiny little thing, and the police called up about this thing gone on. They thought that I'd caused the problem.
No, wow.
And she just sat there on the bed, and like again this thing, like she's going nuts, and like it's like the psychotic thing. It's like, I'm not doing anything, and she went and sat there on the bed and just sat there like this.
Wow.
Just waited for the police to come, and the police came and they were like, "What, her?" I'm like, yeah, her. I was like, go back and listen to the voice recording of the phone call, like you'll hear it all.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
But, like I say, it wasn't, like I said, and this is the thing, this is again where in my head, it's a hard thing because it's like, jokes has been so long ago.
Yeah.
And again, we create stories to fit a narrative. And I replay that story and I'm like, what part of that is actually fully factually correct?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? Because I played the victim.
Yeah.
For a long time. So after that situation had happened, this is bizarre. So after that situation happened, I now, once I've just described that story to you, I'm just there like, is that actually how it happened though? Because I don't know. That's just a story I have in my head.
Yeah.
And I created that story at the time to fit my narrative of being the victim.
There's a lot of grey.
There's a lot of grey. So that story I just said there, I'm looking at it now and I'm just like...
Completely get you.
In my head, I'm like, I don't even know if I feel comfortable sharing that story.
I know what you're saying.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't even... Do you ever said to me,
it's your understanding.
It's my understanding.
Of the truth right now.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's all a story ever
Bizarre,
will be.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I've
got to ask you this though, dude, because this has been amazing. Because we've done
every time me and you talk, it's like a therapy session for me.
We've done the Judder of everything, and I've got to ask you though, because from that sounds you just spoke about a really important part of the timeline there.
Yeah.
And that hit you to the lows.
Yeah.
Did that? Because I don't know if I've asked you this question, but did that catapult you then in terms of you hit the ground? Mm-hmm. Who was the figure? What was the moment? Where did you find the information to go, I've got to get out of this hole, or the other side of this is going to be very dark?
I think I woke up one morning, genuinely. I was like, I'm fucking fed up with feeling this way.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because the commonality of your story, what you spoke about, when you were in America, you hired this coach, £1,500.
Yeah.
You come back, you did a shit personal training session. Yeah. You hired somebody else. You work on it like you're curing cancer.
So yeah. So
the same with depression. It feels like you're like.
So
do you know what I'm attacking?
It's because I didn't know. So my first thing, again, it's in stages. So my first stage was being like, I'm fed up with this. I'm fed up with feeling like this. I'm fed up with feeling crap. So I was like, right, what's happened really? And that's when I was a bit like, I've kind of completely isolated myself and not really got any friends or not seeing anyone. So that's when I then was like, right, I need to go work in a pub or something. Like, so I used to work in this pub when I was younger. So then, I basically, bear in mind, I've been at the top personal training company in the country, have my own business now, loads of transformations, like life on paper was amazing, modelling. I was like, I'm going to have to take a hit on my ego here and go back to work at this pub. So I did. Took a massive hit on my ego to go work at this pub. So it then forced me, kind of like Virgin Active did, to be social with people. So working behind a bar in a pub, you kind of have to be social, talk to everyone. So that's basically what I did, fake it till you make it. And then in that situation, I then met this woman, again, who's a little bit older, still really good friends of mine now, Sarah. She basically saw straight through this act I was putting on and said, you're not kind of okay. She just lost her husband, so she had come through this journey. And then basically I used to give her lifts home because she couldn't drive. And then basically I started opening up and she started asking me really like open-ended questions, and I would just talk and talk and talk. And basically that talking kind of helped me realise that I really wasn't okay. And it's from that moment on that I then was like, right, I need to do something about this. I need to change my environment. So then I went to move to Manchester to work at another personal training facility. Didn't really work out there either. But it was at that time I then got myself a girlfriend. And she was basically really helpful and supportive. So she ran a really successful business. Oh, sorry, I didn't run a business. She worked in a really successful business, really high up, earning a good amount of money, had her own house, had her stuff together. She was a lot older. So she's 40 now. I'm 32. She's 40. So that was the age difference. But obviously I was 28 at the time, 28, 29. So basically she was helped gave me the supportive space. I was just like, right, now I need to get control. Because this is when I got myself to a place of okay. So before it wasn't as drastic as like, right, let's just spend all money on books. Because I didn't really know what had gone on. So it was a slow, gradual thing to get me at okay. Once I was then at okay, I was like, what the fuck has just happened? That's when I had that moment. So you're talking about months, 6 to 8 months after. I was like, what the fuck has just happened here?
Right.
I am never being out of control of my mind again. And that's when I went on podcasts, books, courses,
Yeah.
Because it was that moment in time I was like, what the... Honestly, I can't describe it. It's just like I had this thing of like, what the hell was that? And again, I didn't drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol for being beaten up because I didn't like being out of control of my body. I was then out of control of my mind. And once I'd realised that I'd been out of control of my mind, I was like, hell no, is that happening again? What was that?
This is good.
And that is when I went on went down a rabbit hole. It's about what the hell was that? And I went on a massive thing like podcasts, books, audiobooks, anything around courses. To basically, literally, just my trajectory was almost like completely linear, like not linear, whatever the word is, vertical. Yeah, completely vertical. Because I literally just threw myself at it. So you'd have seen me.
You'd done a bungee jump down.
You'd have seen me from that moment to the 3 months later, and I was a different person. And family members did. Literally, some family members haven't seen me for 3 months, and then me and again, funny story. The good name was Sarah as well. Me and Sarah, so not that Sarah, then another Sarah, went to this family event, and all my family were like, "Why, you're like a different person." I literally like night and day because I've got complete that clarity. And again, we went on BBC Radio that thing from Eckhart Tolle about you are not the voice inside your head; you're the one that's listening. Yeah. That right there was the sentence that changed my entire life.
Literally.
I was just like,
was that the moment?
What the hell? Yeah, because this whole entire time, my entire life, I thought this voice I've been talking to was me.
Yeah.
But again, like I said to you before on the radio, sometimes it's powerful. So when someone says can't do something, that's the voice that says, "Oh, you don't think I can do something, motherfucker? Right, let's go." Yeah. And that's it. Then it spurs me on. It's my best. It's the one that literally makes me run that extra mile because I'm like, "Right, you think I'm not going to be the starting goalkeeper? I'll show you." But then other times, and most of the time, it wasn't. It was negative. When someone would say, "Oh, they're looking at you because they think you're a piece of shit."
Right.
So now I didn't realise because it's the same voice. It's the exact same voice. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise that it wasn't me.
So you still carry the voice.
Yeah, everyone's got the voice.
But you're observant.
I'm the observer
of everything.
Yeah. And I noticed even to today when I'm not in a good place, it's because I've got inside my own head.
But now, because you're the observer, do you pick the ones that you want to listen to?
Only when I'm in a good headspace.
Yeah.
If not, like I said, when I say I'm in my own head, again, it's meshed together.
But
that's the problem.
To be optimal in the best decision making, it's being clear of that.
I am driving this bus.
Yeah,
me.
Yeah,
the best version of me, the true authentic version of me, is making conscious decisions about what's going on.
This is good.
That's
man.
it.
This is the conversation you have where like, dude, I want to go and do cool shit.
That is it.
I've needed this chat for a while.
The days I'm not doing well, which have been the last 3-4 weeks, it's because I've not been driving the bus.
Yeah.
I've been trying to drive the bus, but again, it's hard when everything around you is falling apart.
Yeah.
And you are literally trying to drive this bus when everything's going up in flames and it's driving off a cliff. That's the hard part. You're still there, and again, you get glimmers of it, but it's really, really hard. And this is for me when routine is the best thing that holds you down. You get your core fundamental basics that you know. If I do A, B, and C, it puts me in the driving seat of my bus. Cold showers. Again, I said this to you last time on the podcast. I'm sure it was when I was here last time. I take a cold shower every single morning. It's because I heard Tony Robbins tell me. People can talk to me all day long about the benefits of taking a cold shower or plunge therapy, whatever they want to call it. I could not care less about the health benefits. I literally do not care. Not bothered. Like, I don't care. I don't care if it had no health benefits. I'd still do it because Tony Robbins said that every single morning when he goes into that cold shower, there's not a single day that he wants to do it, but that's his opportunity, first thing in the morning, to take control of his brain and just be like, just like a dog, you sit there, I'm in charge, we're doing it. Because that voice like, oh, I don't want to do it. And you're like, no. You shut up. I'm in charge. I'm saying we're doing it, and we're doing it.
Yeah.
Every single morning. So that's again. But then I stopped doing that when the bus was on fire. But the first thing, I always go back to the cold showers. Because the first thing in the morning, I'm taking control of that voice inside my head, and I'm saying, I know we don't want to do this, but I'm driving the bus. Just sit the fuck down. You sit down, and we're staying in there.
Yeah, man. It gets me emotional.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Honestly, that's it.
Talking that, because I can relate to that so strongly, and I bet so many people can. The second everything becomes ruffled and confusing and painful, we just neglect that self. It's the self-sabotage, isn't it?
And again, and this is me that's literally coaches people on this
stuff.
Yeah. Like, no one is perfect.
Yeah.
No one is perfect, and there are still things in life that will knock you off course, and that's absolutely fine. Because again, I gave myself a hard time about it. It's like, no. What's actually happened? Again, that podcast I did with Jeanette really helped me pinpoint that. I'd be like, no, actually, what I'm feeling is very, very valid, and I'm grieving, and that is okay. And the fact that I still showed up every single day, and none of my clients or my coaches or even you would have known that was anything other than okay, unless I decided to share that wasn't okay. Because you didn't have a clue. That when the time when we went to that podcast, the BBC.
Yeah.
Like, mate, I had no idea.
Completely.
Yeah, of course you had no idea. Because I was like, right, it's got a job to do. Crack on.
It was the next day, wasn't it? Wow.
Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 days later.
Yes. Wow. Dude, we literally have to do yours now. We have, quite literally. I don't want to run out of time for you. You got to be for 4 o'clock, is
4
it?
o'clock, yeah, be all good.
Let's get on to you, mate. Please tell everyone where they can find your stuff, but we have to do more of these. I've really enjoyed this. It's such a... And I know for a fact, every time we go through it, we can find a different segue and a different part of the story, and we'll just keep on finding topics, I think, that we can hit it like we do with yours. I just think he's such a phenomenal character and really interesting the way you operate. My take from today is I'm gonna be more Dan James in the... Oh God,
don't do that.
But when things are confusing or painful, and my usual response is to avoid or turn away from it. I love your approach of I don't want to be bad at this. I want to understand it, and you just attack it. And you've attacked depression, you attacked being a goalkeeper, you attacked everything, and hit it head on. So I find that so inspirational and awesome. Yeah, cool guy. Tell everyone to find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Daniel_James_fitness. That's the best place to find me. And again, feel free to drop me a message. I always respond to people. And then obviously the podcast, which obviously you're part of and help is the Prime Life Project podcast. And again, it's on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube.
Dude, respect. Yep. Let's get on to yours. Awesome. I'll do my bit. Guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. I love you all. I'm going to leave you on this. I always do, and I always will. Just be nice to one another, you beautiful set of buggers. See you later.